Scott with you again. We are continuing our study of the insight to the end times. We are getting very close to the end. When you consider that the church age is 2,000 years in length, and we're in the year 2030, as we shared yesterday, if it kicked off with the death of Jesus Christ, that would mean 2,000 years added to his date of death, 30 AD, would bring us to 2030. So that's not too far from now. We're in the latter part of 2022. That's not too far from now. And when you consider that there's a lot of years behind us already, quite a few years, probably around 1992 years behind us. We're getting very close. Today I want to share with you some steps in my walk with the Lord over the years. I want to point out some things that had occurred there. I became a born-again Christian along with my entire family when I was a teenager back in the late 1960s. And we were in a denominational church. And when the cards from the crusade were sent back to our home church minister, he called my dad into his office and said, "We don't believe in this born-again stuff in our church. This is all emotionalism, and I don't appreciate you going and getting born again. You get to heaven because you're a member of this church, not because you have to do this born again stuff. So if you share this with anybody in our church, I'll ask you to leave the church." Wow. What if my parents had believed that and that was the end of our spiritual growth? That would have been disaster. Well, after I concluded university and we moved and took up a work and profession, we decided to shift gears from traditional church to an evangelical church. We got involved in the evangelical church, and oh man, it was so refreshing and wonderful to be amongst people who had a different view than my former traditional church, denominational church. But when we started to talk about being filled with the Holy Spirit, we crossed the line with them. They didn't like that. They told me that the Holy Spirit experience passed away with the death of the apostles in the first century. They said praying in tongues was not for today, and they said it was probably of the devil anyways. What if I had believed that? That was a crucial step in our growth as believers, not only to be born again, but to become Spirit-filled. Well, we moved on from that setting a number of years later to a charismatic type setting, a Spirit-filled setting, a Pentecostal setting. And we enjoyed that because there was more freedom and there's more receptivity. But we then were told that the gifts of the Holy Spirit and praying in tongues was something that occurred from the platform, from the pulpit, by the leadership of the church. It wasn't something that we should expect to operate in. What if I had believed that? The vitality of the Holy Spirit is everyday life. And being able to pray in the Spirit, praying in tongues just because we want to. What if I had believed that? And when we shared with them that we were leaning towards the faith message, that became crossing the line again. They said that was extremism. So I had been told getting born again was emotionalism. Now I'm being told the faith movement is extremism. And they told me not to read any of the books by these famous faith authors like Brother Hagin and Brother Copeland and others like that. What if we had believed that? What I'm getting at is this. There's a lot of well-meaning people who just don't have the truth. They have listened to somebody else. I have a verse for you. I want to read it to you. It's in 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1. It says, "Now the Holy Spirit expressly says that in latter times, last days, some will depart from the faith, giving heed to deceiving spirits and doctrines of demons." See, when someone tells you that you don't need to be born again, that's a deceiving spirit that has introduced that. When someone tells you you don't need to be filled with the Holy Spirit, that's a deceiving spirit who has taught them that. When someone tells you that the gifts of the Spirit are just for the pastor and the ministers, that's a deceiving spirit who has taught them that. Here it is in a contemporary version. It says the Holy Spirit makes it clear that as time goes on, some are going to give up on the faith and they will chase after demonic illusions. And one other contemporary version says God's Spirit says that in the last days, people are going to turn from the truth and from the faith, and they will be fooled by evil spirits. Wow. You don't want to be fooled by an evil spirit. You don't want to be a foolish virgin. You don't want to be fooled by an evil spirit. So what's the solution? John chapter 8, verse 31, 32. Jesus himself said this, "If you abide in my word, you are my disciples indeed, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." We have been sharing truth with you since we began this Insight series. Today's podcast is number 177, and we have been sharing truth with you, scriptural verses, scriptural references, scriptural truth all the way through. Don't let anyone deceive you. We got good stuff for you tomorrow. See you then.